Good morning to all the experts, participants, and distinguished guests. May I request all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put them on silent mode. We would soon be commencing with the proceedings of the day. I request Professor Desai, Professor Carlos, and Professor Toison to please take their seats on the dais. Professor Toison, please. Professor Carlos, Professor Toison, Professor Desai, experts and participants from across the globe, principals, heads of the department, faculty colleagues, and my dear student friends. I extend a warm welcome to one and all present here in person or through the digital mode from various other countries to the Amic's 31st annual conference hosted by SNDT Women's University with the theme Navigating Digital Transformation in Media, Public Relations and Advertising. To commence with the proceedings of the day, may I request all of you to rise for the SNDT Women's University song followed by the hymn. Please keep standing for the Amic song.
From islands and mountains, from cities that shine, we gather as one across borders and time.
With stories and visions, with truth as our guide, Amic stands strong with knowledge as food. Voices of giant we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies. Media with meaning, communication with grace. Amic ignites hope in every place.
We honor the cultures, the wisdom, the song, impart voices where all can belong.
Walk fearless in learning, we grow together. We shape the future we know. United we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies. Media with meaning, communication with grace. Amic ignites hope in every place.
Be woven in every thought.
Be strong in the region's Voices of Asia united we rise, bridging the distance beneath open skies.
With passion and purpose, with vision so wide.
Amic forever, our beacon, our guide.
Please take your seat. There is so much in common between both the songs that we heard just now. Both the songs talk about unity, about hope, and about conquering the globe. The SNDT University song goes Sanskrita Stri Parashakti, which stands for an enlightened woman is a source of infinite strength. And that is the motto that we deeply believe in. Next up is a performance by a student who represents SNDT Women's University and its motto. The student was crowned as the Student of the Year of SNDT Women's University, which is called as Tejaswini. So can we give her a big round of applause? She is Sri Shetty, the student of the year of SNDT Women's University and senior student of the Department of Human Development. And she will be performing Bharatanatyam, a classical dance form of our country. Yeah. Shri.
మోదకం సదా సాధు కళాధరాం సఖి భీకరం నవో సురేశ్వరం ఈశ్వరం గజేశ్వరం గణేశ్వరం మహేశ్వరం తమాశ్రయే పరాత్పరో నిరోదరం పరాత్పరో నిరోదరం పరాత్పరో నిరోదరం సమస్తలోకశంకర గిరస్తదైత్యకుమజరు దరే దరోదరం వరం వరే భవ క్రమాచరం యుధాకరం క్షమాకరం గుపాకరం యశోకరం నమస్కరు నివాస్వరం నమస్కరు నివాస్వరం నమస్కరోమి భాస్వరం అర్చనాతిమాదనం నిరంతమూర్తి భజనం పురారి పూర్వనాదనం పురారి గర్వచర్వణు ప్రపంచను శరీషణం భూషణం భజే పురాణ భజే పురాణ భజే పురాణ నిదాంతకాంతదంతకాంతకాంతకాంతకాంతమో రూపమదగీరమదరాంతరం వసంతమేవ యోగినాదమేదం విచింతయా సుందరం తమేగదం గమేవదం విచింతయామి ఘోరం తమేగదం గమేవదం విచింతయామి ఘోరం తమేగదం గమేవదం విచింతయామి
I guess she deserves another big round of applause. Thank you, Shri. As I told you earlier, she is our Tejaswini, the student of the year of SNDT Women's University. And she and the dance form that she performed truly represent empowerment and expression through various art forms. It is also our practice to commence every auspicious occasion with the lighting of the lamp. So may I request the professors on the dais to light the ceremonial lamp to give a ceremonial touch to the entire event. As I said, the lighting of the lamp has deep cultural significance. It represents our attempt to invoke light, knowledge, and enlightenment. And it stands for wisdom, positivity, and the united pursuit for knowledge. Why does this happens every time? So very good morning. We are running late. I'll try and to be as brief as possible. This will be a little bit of a vote of thanks and a little bit of a welcome. So please bear with that. Welcome to this first Women's University of India. We are a public university, and for those who are from outside India and outside Mumbai, should know that we have 90,000 students on 5 campuses of this university, and you are on one of the campus, which was established before I was born. So it was established in 1964, and you're welcome to this commercial and entertainment capital of India, because Mumbai is known for Bollywood and everything else. I'm also very happy that I went to the first Amic in the year 2000, and it was coincided with IMCR, and I was supported as a scholar. And I'm very happy to host Amic today after 25 years, and it's a kind of an opportunity. So thank you. First and foremost, thank you, my university leadership. We'll be meeting our vice chancellor in a little while from now. So I thank my university leadership. I thank Amic to accept our invitation to host us here. For those who are not aware, Amic came to India in 2009 in Delhi. Dr. Chandrabanu Patnaik is here, who was there, who kind of struggled what I did right now. And we had Padma ma'am, I think she's still to come. Padma Rani ma'am hosted it in 2018 in Manipal. And this is the third time that Amic is in India. I'm also kind of briefly thanking 3 main people who had been part of a sponsorship. We got a Wellspun Corp, Dr. Rima Mathur, I'm not sure if she is around, Rashmi, who is representing International Association of School of Social Work. They have supported 10 scholars, so which is amazing in my understanding, because 10 scholars will be coming to conference first time, and Association of Development Communication also is supporting 4 scholars to attend this conference. I'm also kind of thanking Santosh Saravaiya, Chetan, Ujwala, FSN, and everybody else who made this possible. Just to kind of conclude broadly, one of the things that has kept me with Amic is this whole business of believing in Asian scholarship, because all those who believe that we have a context, and the context that is very, very important and relevant, which is lost at times. I'm not kind of negating Western scholarship, but the reality is that the Asian realities demand Asian lenses. And that is something that Amic always does. And I'm sure you are all here, so you're part of that journey. And that is something that is very, very important. So thank you for kind of coming here and being around, especially in a digital times when physical interactions and kind of collaborations and cooperations are extremely important to kind of expand our horizons to work together. And let's hope to have an amazing time for next 3 days. Please feel free to connect to any of us. We are around, because SNDT is Sanskrita Stri Parashakti. So we believe that women are the empowered soul, and they know how and when to use that empowerment. So that's the difference between power and empower. So welcome to SNDT, welcome to Mumbai, welcome to India. And I'm really sorry about few people who had a hard time getting visas and they could not be with us. But India is India, so you can't help it. And thank you for being around. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Desai, for that warm welcome. I now request Professor Jose Maria Carlos to welcome the gathering. But before that, I'd briefly try to introduce Professor Carlos. Professor Carlos has been a broadcast journalist for over 40 years in various news agencies in the Philippines. He is a former Secretary General of Amic based in Singapore, and is now the chairperson of the Board of Management of Amic based in Manila. He teaches broadcasting journalism and media management at the University of Santa Thomas in Manila. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 31st Amic Annual Conference, especially to our participants from 16 countries. Okay. I want to begin with a memory that may resonate with many of you, and perhaps some of you. I remember growing up watching television in the living room with my parents and siblings, a shared ritual, a moment of connection that brought our household together at the same time in the same place. Television wasn't just a device, it defined how we experienced the world beyond our doorstep. It delivered news, drama, sports, entertainment, and culture with a reassuring sense of rhythm and familiarity. But that scene, once so universal, is quickly vanishing. Today, audiences, especially younger ones, consume media not around a television set, but individually, often in silence, eyes on a mobile screen, ears covered in headphones. The digital shift has turned media into a deeply personal, even private experience. Programs are watched on demand, on commutes, during meals, between meetings, and sometimes across multiple screens at once. The medium has changed, but so has the behavior, and more profoundly, the relationship between audiences and content. This evolution is not just about platforms, it's also about power. Audiences today are no longer passive consumers. They expect interaction, they participate in content creation through comments, shares, remixes, and reactions. A viral meme or a TikTok duet can spread faster and wider than a traditional television broadcast. Algorithms personalize what we see, feeding us a steady stream of content tuned in to our preferences, but also potentially to our biases. In this new ecosystem, global and hyperlocal exist side by side. Audiences in Jakarta or Manila are as likely to follow a Korean drama, a New York podcast, or a Swedish influencer as they are to watch local news. Borders blur, and the competition is no longer just between networks, it's between narratives, platforms, and worldviews. This transformation is equally visible and arguably more urgent in journalism. When once the news cycle was shaped by a small circle of gatekeepers, it is now an open field. Every citizen with a smartphone can document, narrate, and distribute news. This has democratized information, but also destabilized the structures that upheld journalistic credibility. Misinformation travels with shocking speed. Trust in institutions is eroding. And amid the flood of content, the role of the professional journalist becomes not just to inform, but to verify, to contextualize, and above all, to protect the public interest. Journalists today are multimedia storytellers, navigating a complex landscape of formats, from vertical videos and podcasts to interactive timelines and AI generated data visualizations. They must work fast, but also think deeply. They must engage diverse audiences without losing sight of ethical standards. As media theorist Clay Shirky reminds us, the old model where professionals broadcast and the rest of us consume is giving way to a world where everyone has a voice. And now, as we find our footing in this digital terrain, a new force is reshaping the ground beneath us: artificial intelligence. We are entering an era where AI doesn't just assist media production, it can generate as well. AI writes scripts, edits footage, personalizes content feeds, and even anchors news bulletins. Its impact is profound and still unfolding. It challenges us to ask, what does originality mean? What happens to trust when the line between human and machine becomes invisible? And how do we ensure that creativity remains a fundamentally human behavior? Tashin Said Siddiq, senior economist at the International Monetary Fund, has said that across Asia, AI, robotics, cryptography, and big data promise to reshape the global economy and fundamentally alter the way we live and work, much like electricity did over a century ago. Tech dictionary Andrew Ang echoes this with a powerful metaphor. AI is the new electricity. Just as electricity revolutionized every industry, AI is now poised to transform every facet of media, from production and distribution to monetization and consumption. But amid all this, we must ask a vital question. What remains essentially human? Japanese media artist and scholar Yuichi Oshiai reminds us technology should not erase human imagination, it should amplify it. As communicators, creators, and media practitioners, our challenge is to use these tools not to replace human insight, but to deepen it, to tell stories that move people, connect communities, and foster understanding. So, as I welcome you, participants, to this Amic conference, I invite you to reflect on three strategic questions. One, how do we respond not just reactively, but proactively to the ongoing shifts in media consumption, production, and credibility? Two, how do we ensure that news technologies like AI enhance, not undermine, the values of journalism, storytelling, and public service? And three, what new business models will allow us to sustain both innovation and integrity in the media industry, as well as in the advertising and PR sectors? Over the next 3 days, I trust we will not only hear answers to these questions, but also surface new ones. Questions that can help us navigate a rapidly changing media landscape with clarity, courage, and creativity. So on behalf of AMIC, its officers and staff, thank you for joining us. And I wish all of you a meaningful, inspiring, and collaborative conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jose, for that very insightful and thought-provoking welcome address. We would now be playing the message by Dr. Crispin Maslog. I'll briefly introduce Dr. Maslog. Dr. Maslog is a widely published writer, editor, and professor of communication for over 5 decades. With his election as chairperson of the Amic board in June 2015, Dr. Maslog came full circle to the organization, which he co-founded with 11 other Asian communication directors in 1970 under the auspices of the Friedrich Edward Stiftung, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So we'll hear Professor Maslog's message now.
Welcome, everyone, to our 31st Amic Annual Conference. I am thrilled to be here, albeit digitally, and I am grateful for this opportunity to connect with you, all of you, at my age of 94. I must say that this year's theme resonates deeply even with this soon-to-be 94-year-old nonagenarian. Digital transformation is not a buzzword. It is a revolution that is transforming the very fabric of our lives. We are living in an era where technology is redefining the way we think, behave, work, study, interact, and even love each other. The impact is universal, cutting across age, gender, culture, and socioeconomic boundaries. Yet the harsh reality is that the benefits of digital transformation are not shared equally. The marginalized community of Asia, and indeed the world, continued to be denied access to the transformative power of digital technology. As we gather for our annual bonding, I urge you to tackle this issue of inequitable access and use of digital technology head on. Let us work together to find solutions that can bridge the digital divide and ensure that the internet serves humanity rather than the other way. As Nobel laureate Maria Ressa so eloquently put it, will the internet serve humanity, or will humanity choose to serve the internet? As I conclude, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our gracious host, SND Women's University. Special thanks to Vice Chancellor Professor Ujjwala Sukradio and Professor Mira Hedirain, Head of the Department of Extension, and Professor Mira Desai, Head of the Department of Extension, for their exceptional support and hospitality. I also appreciate the ideas, the tireless effort of our conference steering committee based in India. Our sincere appreciation goes to our conference partners, sponsors, plenary speakers, and moderators, and who have enriched our discussions with their expertise. Thank you for our masterclass instructors, parallel session presenters, and moderators. Your collective efforts assured us of a successful conference. I'm very sorry that I could not join you in person today. My wobbly legs have betrayed me, but my heart and mind remain strong and committed to our shared Amic mission. I look forward to the day when we can meet again, and I am confident that together we can create a brighter, more equitable digital future for all. God bless you.
A big round of applause for Professor Maslog. The kind of commitment and passion that he has for academics at the age of 91 is truly commendable. I'd just like to share 94, sorry. I'd just like to share one piece of information that Dr. Professor Desai shared with me when Professor Maslog was speaking, and that is he was very keen to visit India. And because of his ill health, he could not make it. But then one of his wishes was to visit the Taj Mahal. We will now be playing a few keynote messages. First by Dr. Bambang Brodchenegoro, Dean and Chief Executive Officer, Asian Development Bank and Institute.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from the Asian Development Bank Institute in Tokyo. I wish I could join you in person in Mumbai. Nonetheless, I'm honored to have been invited by the host, the Asian Media Information and Communication Center, AMIC, for their 31st annual conference, and grateful to provide one of the keynote addresses alongside Mr. Guilherme Canela de Souza Godoy of UNESCO for this important gathering. Asia and Pacific stand at a pivotal moment in its digital journey. Across our region, rapid technological change is transforming economies, reshaping industries, and redefining how people connect, learn, and work. Yet, this transformation is uneven, and digital divides persist between advanced economies and low and middle-income countries, urban and rural communities, between large enterprises and micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, and in the readiness of our workforce to adapt to emerging technologies such as AI, big data, and automation. Asia's digital transformation is reshaping communication and journalism, offering unprecedented opportunities for information sharing, civic engagement, and innovation. Yet, the pace and inclusiveness of this shift remain uneven. While advanced economies in the region such as Japan, Singapore, and Republic of Korea enjoy high-speed connectivity, robust digital infrastructure and skilled workforces, newsroom automation, and in-depth fact-checking, many low and middle-income countries still grapple with limited broadband coverage, costly internet access, and outdated regulatory frameworks. In many advanced Asian economies, rapid journalistic innovation runs on the back of reliable, speedy networks, but this is not universal. Across the region, the percentage of residents using this internet is 13% higher in urban areas compared to rural areas, and mobile internet download speeds are also 38% faster in urban areas than in rural areas. These disparities severely limit the ability of rural media to produce, share, and verify information in real time. A recently published report by ADB emphasizes governments that promote inclusive, sustainable digitalization have an opportunity to not only boost overall productivity and innovation, but also reduce economic inequality at the same time. Building capacity in underserved regions is therefore not only a matter of fairness, it is a strategic imperative for inclusive, resilient journalism and governance in Asia. In journalism, such disparities translate into unequal access to digital tools, gaps in investigative capacity, and vulnerability to misinformation and disinformation. Rapid technological change has also disrupted traditional media business models, challenging sustainability while amplifying the need for ethical, fact-based reporting in a fast-moving online environment. These gaps, which became especially evident during the COVID-19 pandemic surge of misinformation, checking initiative among media outlets. The Philippines Digital Journalism, programs that train reporters in mobile and multimedia skills. India's fact-checking network to counter online falsehoods. And ASEAN's Digital Master Plan 2025 to harmonize infrastructure and policy to equip journalists with data analysis, AI power verification, and cybersecurity skills, strengthen press freedom, and foster innovation. By investing in digital literacy and professional training, the region can bridge divides, amplify diverse voices, and build a resilient, trustworthy, and connected information ecosystem. The Asian Development Bank Institute, the think tank of ADB, was established in 1997 to strengthen the capacity of public and development institutions in ADB's developing member countries. As a global center of excellence, we bridge research and policy design, delivering timely, evidence-based knowledge to inform decision-making and help build a more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future. Our work addresses urgent and emerging challenges across the region, guided by 5 strategic priorities aligned with the midterm review of ADB Strategy 2030. Climate action, private sector development, regional cooperation and public goods, digital transformation, resilience, and empowerment. Under my leadership, we are also advancing a new approach, reinventing the Asian miracle, attaining high-income economies with quality growth. With a team of just 89 staff representing 19 countries, we remain agile and responsive to the evolving needs of our stakeholders. In 2024, we hosted over 130 research, capacity building, and training events, reaching more than 4,000 participants. As a subsidiary of ADB with a global and regional focus, we closely connected with the governments of ADB's 41 developing member countries, other regional and non-regional members, and international institutions, positioning us as a convening body on issues such as digital transformation. ADBI actively engaged with journalism community through our annual initiative, the Developing Asia Journalism Award, or DAJA. This program honors the vital role of journalism in accurately reporting on regional efforts to advance sustainable development. I had the privilege of serving on the selection committee for the awards, and the experience was truly enlightening. It deepened my appreciation for the evolving scope and influence of journalism, which aligns closely with ADBI's mission in policy research and capacity building. I warmly encourage our journalist colleagues attending this conference to consider joining and contributing to next year's DAJA. Your insights and voices can help amplify the impact of this important initiative. ADBI is actively driving Asia and Pacific digital transformation through a combination of capacity building programs and policy research. Such initiatives include training courses on artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and digital finance designed for policymakers, financial regulators, and the private sector to strengthen governance, innovation, and inclusion. We organize workshops in digital public infrastructure and e-governance to help countries modernize services and bridge the digital divide alongside research on digital economic strategies, emerging technologies, and regulatory best practices. In partnership with ADB and other international organizations, we also address skill gaps, fintech, financial inclusion, and the socio-economic impacts of AI and digital transformation. By investing in human capital and digital literacy, Asia can transform its communication and journalism landscape into one that's not only technologically advanced, but also equitable, trustworthy, and responsive to public needs. Capacity building ensures that journalists and communicators are not just adapting to digital change, but actively shaping it, upholding the integrity of information, amplifying diverse voices, and connecting societies across the region. This collective effort will help bridge the digital divide, empower informed citizens, and strengthen the foundation of a vibrant, democratic, and connected Asia.
Thank you, sir. The next message is by Mr. Guilherme Canella, Director, UNESCO, Division of Digital Inclusion and Policies and Digital Transformation, and Secretariat of the Information for All programs.
Distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests, and friends, welcome. It's a true honor to join you today, and although I regret not being able to be there in person, I would like to extend my warmest gratitude from UNESCO headquarters in Paris. I would like to particularly thank the Asian Media Information and Communication Center and Amic Secretary General and my dear friend, Ramon Guillermo Tuason, for giving me the chance to address you today. The topic of your conference, Navigating Digital Transformation in Media, Public Relations, and Advertising, couldn't be more urgent and timely. The digital revolution we are facing in all fronts obviously is impacting, for the good or for the bad, these very three pillars: media, public relations, and advertising. So the UNESCO's mandate of protecting and promoting the free flow of information and ideas is absolutely central to keep guaranteeing the essential elements. And what is the essential elements? The protection and promotion of all the human rights in this very challenging environment. And particularly, we need to guarantee that the information is protected and promoted as a public good. And what are the characteristics of that? We need to empower the citizens to have a critical relationship with this new digital ecosystem. So this is qualifying the demand for accurate and reliable information. But we also need to empower the supply. So we need to protect the journalists, the scientists, the artists, all those that put in this system reliable and accurate information. And finally, we need to discuss the machinery itself. We need to discuss the role of, for example, the social media platforms or the AI companies in this new digital environment. That's why UNESCO has, for example, through a global consultation process, offered a blueprint for this conversation, which are the guidelines for the governance of digital platforms. We are also advancing a lot in the discussion about the relationship between artificial intelligence and all these issues. For example, very recently we published an issue brief on the connection between AI and journalism. But I want to call your attention to two global challenges. Very recently, the World Economic Forum has published their global risk report. And guess what? Global risk number one for the coming years: disinformation and misinformation. Global risk number two: climate change. So I would like to emphasize that during your deliberations, discussions in this event, you pay attention into this intersection, how we guarantee information integrity in the relationship with the climate change situation that we are facing. And again, here the digital environment has a lot to play, a role to play in this conversation, because we need to discuss again how to address the problem of mis and disinformation, and we need to discuss the role of artificial intelligence in this process. Again, we have huge opportunities, but we also have risks. So what is our challenge here? We need to enhance and foster the opportunities while mitigating the risks and eventually prosecuting the harms. So here the real challenge for us is what I call the 4 V's: the velocity, the volume, the virality, and the verisimilitude of what is going on. So this exchange of information, and unfortunately disinformation, is too fast, too big, can go everywhere. And with the so-called deepfakes, it really looks real. So this is the processes that we need to discuss while we are tackling these issues from all the stakeholders levels. In our case, as UNESCO, of course, is producing multilateral policies and the standards about these and discussions, but you as researchers, obviously, is how we can go deeper in this conversation based on evidence, the evidence that you as researchers can generate. And of course, the civil society with its advocacy role, and the governments with the policy-making role. And obviously, finally, the private sector should be part of this conversation. So evidence-based policy and governance are two key words that I do hope are part of your conversations during this event. I want to finish with a very concrete example with the government of Brazil and the United Nations. UNESCO has launched the Global Initiative for Information Integrity and Climate Change. And this dialogue directly with the three pillars of your event, because this is about how, for example, we foster investigative journalism to investigate precisely this relationship, information integrity and climate change. But this is also about public relations firms, how they do their job without falling into the trap, for example, of the fossil fuel companies when they are trying to share mis and disinformation about the climate situation. And this is also about responsible advertising in this area. So all those different issues are tackled by our global initiative. So again, a pleasure to have participated, even if it is remotely, and I wish you a very good conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Ramon R. Toison, Amic Secretary General, to present the overview of the conference.
Morning. If I had a choice, I would have asked everybody to have coffee break than listen to me, correct? Yeah, but maybe I'll just do this fast so that we can all have our coffee break and start the discussion. Can we have our first? Okay, unfortunately, I don't have my eyes with me, but so Mopet, you will add three minutes from my time, right? Okay. It's not there. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been censored. Yeah, actually, I'm very happy that we're back in India, and I'll be remiss if I do not acknowledge two of my predecessors two of my Secretary General predecessors, who are Indians. The first one is Vijay Menon, who is here based in Mumbai. Unfortunately, at the late age of about 80 plus, 84, 85, he cannot join us today, but I plan to visit him before I go back to Manila. So Vijay Menon is second or third Secretary General of AMIC, and he was based in Singapore. The other Secretary General, previous Secretary General of AMIC, based in India, had passed away. After joining AMIC, he transferred to UNESCO. His name is Indrajit Banerjee, and we honor both Indian gentlemen for helping organize, strengthen AMIC over the years. So it's not too obvious that I'm too late. So I can start. Can I just stand here? You could hear me. I have a check. Mic. Oh. Going around when I speak. Can we make it bigger because colleagues at the back couldn't see? Okay, so can I just... Okay. Too bad, huh? The first few speakers had no technical problem, but when it's me, unless the technical team can address, I'm threatening them. I'm going to sing if they're not able to do it. Okay, thank you very much. So you see, when I said I'm going to sing, they immediately, next slide. So I'll go very fast. Everybody removes, No, the first slide, Sandro. Yes, I was about to go to the theme, navigating the digital transformation in media, PR, and advertising. If some of you are confused and you're not part of this, you may step out. Next. Uh, please take a picture of our conference microsite and conference program, our contribution to climate change. We are not printing the conference program. So you can just visit our microsite and conference program. In the conference microsite, there's a schedule of activities and programs. So you can just look at the icons. Next. These are conference objectives. They're in the microsite. I'll skip them so that we'll have more time for coffee break, which is more important. Next, please. We have 5 plenary sessions. The first plenary session starts in a few minutes. Creative and innovative strategic communication, PR, and advertising strategies with digital transformation. Without doubt, some of the best minds in PR and advertising are part of this plenary session. I'll give your money back if you wouldn't agree with me after their presentation. Okay, the second plenary session is UNESCO Emeritus Dialogue. For more than 2 decades, we've been holding the UNESCO Emeritus Dialogue, and I may be biased, but it's in recognition of the role of UNESCO in setting up Amic in 1971. Wow, 54 years ago, Amic, UNESCO, and Friedrich Ebert Stiftung collaborated to set up Amic in Singapore. So the title is Policy Options and Challenges in Navigating Digital Transformation in Asia. Third plenary session is Redefining Communication Competencies in the Digital Ecosystem, Rewriting Communication Curricula. Of course, many of us, maybe 70% of our participants today are educators, so this would be very helpful, very useful for us. Are we still teaching the right competencies? If we still are, then I urge you young communicators, although sometimes they're better than us in digital competencies. Fourth, India-China Communication Dialogue. This will be handled by Dr. Kalinga. He used to be the Director for Research of Amic back in Singapore. And plenary session 5, Digital Newsroom, Exploring Policies, Practices, and Innovative Tools will be, this session would be, the resource persons are mostly newsroom people or those who have experience in newsroom work. So this would be very interesting. Are journalists and editors still doing, how has technology changed their world, if not their minds? Next. We have 5 master classes. These are very interesting master classes. If you have friends who are free, you contact our secretariat, they may have space for your students and colleagues. Reputation 5.0, Building Trust in the Age of Digital Transformation. This is a must attend for those who have problems with their reputation. Unfortunately, some politicians from your respective countries cannot join. Okay, otherwise this could have been very helpful to them. Politicians from my country included. AI for international publication, very important. We have 2 experts. The Reputation 5.0 will be managed by one of it. I'm saying this not because he's a friend, but he's one of the most multi-awarded public relations practitioners in Asia, if not in the world. So fortunately, he is with us today, Mr. Ron Habal. For AI for international publication, there will be 2 Thai colleagues who will be discussing how to get published in international journals with support from AI. Okay, but do's and don'ts in using AI to write your journal articles, but not asking AI to write your journal articles. Indices, it's very challenging, especially for us in the academe, the publish or perish law policies. Where do you publish your journals? Start providing accreditation system in using the Amic, the Asian lens. So now we've developed, we created a small group looking at the possibility of offering an accreditation system in communication for Asia. So please join us, especially those who are heads of communication schools. The last one is revisiting the art of storytelling in the digital era. We have a very well-accomplished young she's an expert in a multi-awarded expert in creative communication work. Next, please. We have received, and this is amazing, we have received 629 abstracts. This is more than the 444 that we received in China. Okay, so total number of blind peer reviewers, they're now half blind, 59. With we thank you. You know who you are. We thank you. And I was telling Dr. Mira, when we look at the reviews, we said this is free thesis and dissertation consultation and advising. We noticed some of the reviewers took the responsibility. Sometimes their critique is longer than the abstract submitted. I don't understand, but so be it. So total papers presented 220. We have 17 total parallel sessions. This is an innovation starting last year. We asked the reviewers if you think that the article is excellent or good, we ask them to write to Asian Journal of Communication and Media Asia. Some of you may not know, AJC and Media Asia are published for Amic by Taylor and Francis, Routledge, Taylor and Francis, and both journals are among the top communication and journalism journals in Asia. The editor-in-chief of Media Asia is with us, Dr. Danilo Araw. Unfortunately, our chairman d'honneur, Mr. Penghua Ang of NTU, is also our editor for AJC, was not able to join us. We thought he could still make it, but some technical issues with his visa as well. Next. Your abstracts of those presented will be included in the 2025 book of abstracts to be released in 2020, first quarter of 2026, because we saw very interesting, very good articles. Our plan is, if it works, we will select good abstracts and those which are presented and those which were unfortunately were not presented today. We're thinking of 3 online readings: digital transformation in media and journalism education and practice, digital transformation in PR and advertising, and then another reading on digital transformation and communication theory and research. But what would happen is that we will still ask you to submit your improved full papers to be included here. And when I discussed this earlier with Dr. Professor Mira Desai, she said, maybe we can ask those who for some reasons submitted abstracts, but were not able to come for various reasons, we may still consider their abstracts to be included in these 3 online readings. I must say that we acknowledge this suggestion came from our representative from Thailand, Dr. Kamalrat. Thank you for this excellent suggestion. You see, we listen. Next, please. These are the topics for your parallel sessions. I noticed that there are parallel sessions, there are abstracts which focus on culture and digital technology. So very interesting papers on culture and technology convergence and so on, and how digital technology can protect, preserve indigenous culture of Asia. So congratulations for those who have written this. Next, please. So, but maybe more than half of the articles really are on the theme of AI, PR, advertising, and marketing communication. A topic on regulatory ecosystem is something that we are very interested. I'm not sure if the paper which examined the regulatory ecosystem in different Asian countries, if she was able to come, but we have taken note of his abstract. Health, navigating AI, governance, and what we started last year, we will continue this year. We have a parallel session, special session on Chinese language abstracts. Okay, so I think our colleague who's supposed to moderate the Chinese language abstract cannot make it, unfortunately. So if there's anyone who can speak Mandarin or Hokkien, you can raise your hands and we will assign you to moderate that session. Okay, or you will use sign language. Another special session on Hindi and Marathi. Okay, so if you don't even agrees with me. Okay, so if you know the language, join also this session on Marathi and Hindi. Next, please. Oh, finally, this is preempting it. For this year's 2025 Amic Communication Award, we're giving it to Dr. Carliga Miss Salveya. She's the first Central Asian to receive the award, acknowledging her work in promoting, very important, in promoting democracy in Central Asia, through promoting democracy through journalism and communication in Central Asia. And the judges recognize this. So we'll have the conferment later on. Next, please. We have the Mumbai Declaration, Shaping Asia's Digital Future with Information Integrity and Inclusion. Some of you were requested to provide inputs to this declaration. Next. We have 4 book exhibits there outside. Already made my own reservations. Very good. Routledge, Taylor and Francis, as I said, is our publisher. Akar Books, Springer, Atlantic Publishers. Yes. Next, we have our General Assembly. Ma'am Muppet, General Assembly is on Friday. This is for Amic members. If you have not paid your membership, please do. You can pay them through Ma'am Muppet. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to join the General Assembly. Okay, so next, institutional. We acknowledge, I think I missed one topic. I was so interested. I missed one topic about book launch. Did I miss it? Before the before the book exhibit, General Assembly, before that? Before that. After there's a session where we invited our Amic members and friends. If you have a new book, you are invited to present to our colleagues your new books. So new books meaning books published within at least the last 2 years. So we'll know what you have written or edited the past 2 years, and we'll be interested to take a look at them. So next, please. So next. So we acknowledge our institutional members. We have 16. The 3 are originals: NTU in Singapore, PWU, and AIJC in Manila. So we invite you to be our institutional members. During the General Assembly, we'll discuss your benefits as institutional members. Next. Here are our sponsors, Wellspun and IASSW. And then we have conference partner. Conference partners are those who committed to submit and X number of participants to this conference. So thank you very much to both our conference sponsors and to our conference partners. How many conference partners do we have, Mama? 18. 17. We have 17 conference partners, including the 3 publishers who are outside. Next, please. Conference hashtag. So if you use Amic 2025, Amic Mumbai 2025. And then we have we have a group chat. That should not be limited to official, anything you want to share, even about your love life, you can share through our group chat. I would love to know more about that. Okay. Next, please. Oh, we want to please give a round of applause. Why did these 2 self-serving? I just want to acknowledge Team Amic. Thank you very much for all your help and effort, Team Amic. Our board of directors, Dr. Maslog, as you saw, is 94, but I asked him not to come because he's threatening to go to Taj Mahal at his age. I said, you cannot survive. Last year, he was able to go to Great Wall of China, his fourth during his 94 years on Earth. So Penghua is with NUS, NTU, National Technological, NTU. Nanyang Technological, Dr. Syed Arabi bin Syed Abdullah Idid is with Malaysia, and Dr. Hu Zhengrong is from China. So there will be some changes in the board soon, and we'll discuss that in the General Assembly. Next, please. This is where I would really ask you to please give a round of applause to Team India. They've been very helpful, very useful, and we really appreciate this support given to us. Next, I think I'm on my last 2 slides. Also, the 29 Amic representatives, 29 countries, 39 representatives. You are here, please stand up, please. Dr. Asoka from Sri Lanka, our colleague from Thailand, Philippines, from Nepal, Thailand, and Kazakhstan. Thank you very much for joining us. Next, plug our Amic journals. If you're not subscribing to either Media Asia or Asian Journal of Communication, then you're not the professor you thought you are worth of. So you have to, you have to, you have to subscribe to both. You know, their index citation is very high, among the highest actually. So we invite you not only to subscribe, but also to submit articles to both journals. Although very high casualty rate, but we how 10% less rate of 10% for both, but at least you've tried. Okay, in your lifetime. Yes. Last next please. Oh, this next please. Scavenger hunt. May I ask the chair scavenger to discuss this because I don't know how it works. Scavenger hunt. Do you name it?
Thank you, sir. This is just to add spice to our activity. So we want you to network with your peers and colleagues here, meet new friends, real people, no? Not chatbots or whatever. So if you can scan this, this is the form, but in the microsite you will see the instructions. The idea, next slide, is that you're invited to complete as many tasks as you can in the scavenger hunt. So post your photos or videos or reflections in your social media accounts and make sure you make it public, that particular post, so that the secretariat can monitor. And please use our conference hashtags, hashtag Amic Mumbai and hashtag Amic 2025. And you can submit the entries through that online form. So the different tasks includes taking a selfie, attending a session, speaking something in Hindi or Mahariti, the language here, and trying out in Indian cuisine, and going into a famous landmark here. You have until Saturday to submit your entries. And the winning entries will be given prizes, of course, by the organizers. And some of the posts will be also shared, I think, in the next slide. Some of the posts will be selected by the organizers to be shared in the social media accounts of Amic. We're giving out prizes for the most sessions attended. Please do not clone yourself. Make sure that you are present in the sessions, sitting in the session, not attending the session outside. Okay, so you're invited to go to as many of the 17 parallel sessions. We're also awarding the one with the best Mumbai exploration post. So I know that some of you have already done this. Probably those who arrive early have gone to some of the places of interest here. But we invite you to explore Mumbai, of course, to support the local economy. Although there are already 30 billionaires in Mumbai, let's make the local economy richer by supporting the local entrepreneurs. And then for the most international connections made, no? Show proof that you've made as many friends as you can from the conference attendees. That includes our student volunteers. No? May I see our student volunteers? Can you raise your hands? Our volunteer students, make sure that you also invite them and engage them, okay? And this is also open to you guys and girls, okay? All girls, I mean, sorry for the pun. We'll also award the most viral post, no? The post that has received the most number of likes and shares. If it's not your birthday, normally the birthday post gets the most viral, right? But try to make your post here in Mumbai viral. Try to share to your network. And then we will select 10 creative posts that will be featured in our social media account. So thank you, Mr. Sekien.
Thank you, sir. Now I know scavenger, you meet another person. So which means you're all scavengers, correct? So what's next? We are running out of time. We're now for plenary. Do we need a coffee break? No? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? 5 minute coffee break. So, ma'am, They all agreed to reduce the coffee break from 5 to 3 minutes. Okay, so we can start.
We request all the participants and the experts to please take a short coffee break of 5 minutes and be back, because the speakers as well as the experts are all here and we should not be delaying them any further. So a quick break of 5 minutes and all of us will be back here. Thank you. फोटो का बाद में है ना ये इनका नाम पता है मुझे नहीं पता हाँ ये चार हाँ बाहर जाने में 5 मिनट लगे I request all the participants to please take the seats as soon as possible. The speakers of the plenary session are already here, so please hurry up. Also, a humble request.
Wow. I'm going around more. Thank you. Never chicken right now. And you both came chicken in Gurgaon. Then they bring up water. I was like,
Shall we start? We are beginning with the first plenary session, and I welcome you all back to the session titled Creativity and Innovative Strategic Communication, PR and Advertising Strategies with Digital Transformation. The moderator for the session is Dr. Sunita Chitrapu, who is an independent media researcher based in Mumbai. She has a PhD in mass communication from Indiana University, Bloomington. Her research interests include the economics of international media trade, political economy of media, media labor, Indian language, media markets, and modernities. Dr. Chitrapu has co-authored the book Media Economics and Management and has contributed to various scholarly works examining the dynamics of media industries in India. She was formerly the head of the Social Communications Media Department at Sofia Polytechnic, where she is now a visiting faculty member. She is currently on the advisory board of the Department of Communication and Media Studies, SNDT Women's University, and the Symbiosis Center for Research in Media and Creative Industries. Please give a big round of applause to Dr. Sunita Chitrapu. And I hand over the stage and mic to ma'am. Yeah, ma'am, please. Can we have a mic for Madam?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Yeah, okay, great, lovely. So welcome to the first plenary on creative and innovative strategic communications, PR and advertising strategies with digital transformation. We hear about pendulum swinging from full service agencies to specialist agencies and back again. And how everyone is looking for T-shaped employees. You heard this, right? About communication across silos, about the importance of collaboration. We are also faced with almost daily news of updated AI versions that tech companies say will have PhD level intelligence. Alongside stories such as the one that we've heard, where a prominent company had to issue a refund when they had to pay for errors in a report that used AI. So we are very privileged today as media researchers, as practitioners, as faculty and students to have with us three experts who have many decades of industry experience between them, both in India and globally. And they are here to help us understand the subtext and make sense of these technological developments and what they mean for all of us.
check.
So let me introduce our distinguished panelists. We have Dr. Ron Habal. He's a senior communications executive for more than 3 decades, managing teams in the Philippines, Europe, North America, South Africa, Asia, and Australia, Oceania. Recognized for his contribution and leadership in the practice of international public relations and corporate affairs, Dr. Habal is the first recipient of the Global PR Practitioner of the Year Award by the Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications Management. He is also recognized as a global thought leader by the Global and APAC Stevie Awards and the ASEAN PR Excellence Awards. He is an advisor and a senior consultant to funded projects of USAID, ADB, the World Bank, UN, and the EU. Next, we have Mr. Krishnan Subramanian, who has invested more than 3 decades helping clients understand consumer behavior and equipping them with strategies and frameworks that make their communications purposeful and attractive. This has helped consumers connect better with brands as diverse as American Express, Apple, BlackRock Mutual, Coca-Cola, IKEA, Standard Chartered Bank, and Unilever, among others. He has worked across 15 cities in Asia, has published multiple articles on diverse topics, and has lectured at various forums and institutions in India, France, UK, Switzerland, and Hong Kong. And his book on Indian consumption is coming soon. And we have Mr. Bharatendu Kabi. He is one of India's senior communications professionals with over 30 years of global experience in brand building, reputation management, product launches, and crisis communication across Asia, Africa, US, Europe, Middle East, South and Central America. He is the executive vice president and group head of media and communication at the US $23 billion JSW Group. It's one of India's fastest growing conglomerates with presence in steel, energy, infrastructure, paint, cement, automobiles, defense, B2B, e-commerce, venture capital, realty, and sports. Is there anything you guys don't do? Prior to joining the JSW Group in August 2024, he spent nearly 2 decades with Hero MotoCorp, formerly Hero Honda, the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles. He also spent 6 years with PepsiCo in India during a time that saw the peak of the cola wars and the pesticide in soft drinks crisis. We're delighted to have all three of you here, and I'm especially delighted that we have both Coke and Pepsi represented here. How wonderful is that? The cola wars right here. So we'll begin then with Dr. Habal. How is digital transformation being pursued in the communication media sectors?
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for inviting me. This is my second time in India. I was telling my colleagues here, my first time was I worked in New Delhi and Gurgaon for a multinational, spent four months, beautiful 4 months. And this is my first time in Mumbai. And thank you very much for inviting me. So I'm going to read through this because I am a little daunted by my environment because this is not normal, my normal peeps, right? These are learned academics and educators. So I'm going to read through this one. All right. And this is very timely topic, digital transformation and how it's impacting PR, advertising, and news. And let me begin by asking this question. In a world where algorithms decide what people see, who or what decides what people believe? Right? Because today our field, PR, advertising, and news is being shaped, but I believe, by two powerful forces. One is digital algorithms, which is optimized for speed, scale, and engagement. They decide what trends, what goes viral, and what gets buried. And another one is human algorithms, optimized for trust, belonging, and meaning. They decide what people believe, value, and sustain over time. Unfortunately, the challenge is when they fall out of balance. When digital dominates without human grounding, we get distortion. For instance, these days we have clickbaits, disinformation, shallow virality. So we are being seen but not being believed. But when humans dominate without digital awareness, we get invisibility. Credible, ethical messages that never break out of the silos or chambers. We are being believed but not being seen. So the future of our field and strategic communication is not about choosing one over the other. It is about mastering the dance between them, designing messages that machines will amplify and humans will trust. So as we navigate digital transformation, let us all remember that digital algorithms decide what people see, human algorithms decide what people believe. So our task then is to make sure that what the machine amplifies is what society can actually trust, value, and find meaning in. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a mic. Yeah.
Hello.
So, Mr. Subramanian, I want to ask you, how are communication media processes tools and outputs being revolutionized by artificial intelligence, large language models, algorithms, and similar innovations.
It's always difficult to be number two because he's made some of the points that I had so diligently written on a piece of paper. So it's a bit tough. But I'd like to start by saying it's not digital transformation. Now it's an artificial intelligence transformation. So there was a time when we said, are we digital? Are we not digital? And now we've come to the space where everything is digital. And now very soon, in fact, the rate of acceleration is incredible. Everything will be artificially intelligent. And that's, there are two schools of thought there. Some of us are scaremongering, that loss of jobs and stuff like that. And there are others who say this is the most exciting thing for humanity. Rather than talk about tools and processes, I'd rather focus on the content outputs of artificial intelligence, because that's where I think some of the most ethical and moral dilemmas kind of come into play. We've all, how many of us have used ChatGPT? Just raise our hands. Yeah, that's roughly 80%. Okay, how many of us have used Gemini? Right. And how many of us have made those silly 3D models of ourselves and our families on Gemini, whatever that was called? So that gives you a sense of how rapidly things are moving. There are so many platforms now available to generate content. And all of us, I assume, have heard of Tilly Norwood, which is like just like 5 days ago news. And as of day before yesterday, we know that Jaya Bachchan and Rekha fought over Amitabh Bachchan in a video that went live. And it's completely fake, right? We know that, but it's so interesting. And the fact that artificial intelligence is able to generate such content for us is really both disconcerting and exciting at the same time. And hence, what I want to do in these 3 minutes that I have 2 minutes now is really talk about 3 things. One is there is the hype cycle. All of us have read about the Gartner hype cycle. If you've not, please Google it for yourselves. Right now, we are living through the hype, but we know that it will settle. Right? We've seen hype around autonomous vehicles, metaverse. Before that, social media. Before that, if I go really way back, calculators, right? And that gives you my age, okay? And the fact that computers came in and secretaries were afraid they'll lose their jobs. And so the point is to look beyond the hype. What will happen once the hype is over? Where will this settle? And how do we deal with that, right? So that's the first thing I want to kind of leave behind with this group, that never give in to the hype, like some rock star, I think. How many of us are Eagles fans? Nobody? Please, somebody. Okay, that again gives you my age away. Eagles sang this song with one of the lyrics which says, don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy, right? So don't let the hype overwhelm you. See beyond the hype. That's one. Two is, I think, when we look at transformation and content, the fact that Tilly Norwood, and if you have not heard about her, please again, search for her. It's a completely artificially intelligent line of code, which is an actress, right? She is now has an agent of her own. She has an Instagram page of her own. You can't really make out whether she's fake or live. And the idea that she is now being taken in by directors and producers of content to make movies with her, right? No tantrums of movie stars, no, kind of huge royalties to be paid. So the idea that Tilly Norwood is fake, right? We know she is fake, and yet we are willing to accept her. So the point being, in 3 years' time, when we get intelligent enough to know what is fake and what is real, right? As an aside, like my wife can still make out what's a fake Louis Vuitton versus a real Louis Vuitton. I still can't. But there is an intelligence there, right? That makes out what is fake and what is real. And we will start cultivating those muscles. And when that happens, what will happen is real genius, people who have come with fresh ideas, unique first in the world ideas, because artificial intelligence will rehash every idea that has already been done, right? And that is a fact, right? When we see artificial intelligence today at work, it is rehashing content that's already there. So new work, new genuine breakthrough work will really get respect. And that's what some of us can strive for. All of us are not that intelligent. All of us are not that genius. All of us are not that brilliant. And what will they do then is really be submerged in average content. What will happen is prices of content making will crash. Okay, the idea that any and all of us will become content makers, influencers, and consumers at the same time, recording it or live streaming this or doing something of this. There's been an active propagation of what hashtag you should use, what QR code you should go to. So we are being encouraged to become creators and influencers and of course consumers. So in that world, the third thing is really to figure out, I think Ron made the point about see and believe. I worry that there will come a day where we will only see what we believe, right? Polarization will become even higher. Echo chambers will become an even more of a reality than what it already is, right? We will only want to listen to, hear, see, talk to, interact with content that we are already liking, right? Because that's how an artificial intelligence engine will learn about us. And it will beam back to us what we already know or what we like to know. So, and that is something we need to guard against. We need to guard against ourselves becoming a victim of the hype. Okay, ourselves becoming a victim of polarization, because we have to consciously feed the machine unusual data, aligned data, if you may. There was a time when somebody said, in Google search, I deliberately feed bad search words because otherwise the search engine already knows what you're searching for and will give you only more of the same. So I bet I'm much more than my 3 minutes. So those are the three things. Don't give into the hype. Look out for true genius and, guard against becoming a victim of your own siloed thinking.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's we'll be coming back to many of those ideas. But I just like to go to Mr. Kavi. And how are we preparing for the next generation of communicators to be future-proof and adaptable in an increasingly digital world?
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Professor. Thank you, AMIC. Thank you to the organizing committee for inviting me here. Glad to be present amongst all of you here today and really humbled to be part of this August company with my colleagues on the dais. Now, you said it's always tough to be number two. You can imagine my situation being number three. Nevertheless, I'll try to answer your query. Everybody acknowledges that it is, I mean, till recently, people used to call it the new media. It's not new media anymore. Digital is the world we live in. But you asked me about what would probably be a guidance, not necessarily an advice to young communicators coming into our profession in a highly digital world. And probably it may sound a bit contrarian, but I would suggest that go beyond the screens. If you fit in your entire worldview to 6-inch screen, whether on your palm or on your lap, then you will probably will find it difficult to think beyond that. I mean, your worldview will probably find it difficult to go beyond those 6 screens. I think real learnings to being a communicator, a good, effective communicator would come from lived experiences on the streets. And when I say this, I am probably speaking out of a little bit of experience traveling through packed sleeper class trains, Nilachal Express from Odisha to Delhi, then Purushottam Express, passing through the hinterland of UP, Bihar, sharing cutting chai with locals, in different parts of the country as a journalist, sharing the local brew, handia, we call it in tribal Moribunch. It's called Madhu in Nagaland, sharing Pakal Bhat. I don't know if there are folks from Odisha here. And Chanapuro on the streets. Oh, yeah, there you are, right at the front. Glad to hear all of you. I'll catch up with all of you. So I think they, wonderful. And I think, I didn't become I didn't learn communication from management books, never did MBA. Nor did I pick up my communication skills from ChatGPT prompts or PowerPoint slides. So I would recommend to the new generation that, look, guys, all of us know that we are probably living in a world where uh, it has the highest per capita opinion at any time of human history, right? And as communicators, if we need to cut through the cacophony, cut through the noise, the surround sound, then we need to be uh, very smart storytellers and strategic communicators. We need to think strategy. I think, scrolls take seconds. Curiosity does not need to take seconds. Curiosity need to stay forever. If we as communicators uh, get to the ground level, onto the streets, tell human stories, which find resonance with our audience, with our TG, with our stakeholder groups. Uh, I think there is a solid opportunity for all of us uh, that uh, that we can tell them. And I'll give you one example. All of us know, and you're far more senior in this particular field of advertising today, technology is the basis of everything. Uh, the attention span has now reduced to what, 3 to 5 seconds? Yeah, probably. And people keep scrolling. It doesn't take us even a second to do skip on a coffee ad on our YouTube channels. But then how come there are 10 season drama playing out on our OTT channels? That's because of the content. That's because they're telling, stories which people can relate to, the audience can relate to. So despite everything, despite technology, despite the world going digital, I think uh, if as communicators, communication was always an art. It was always an art. Today, we have the benefit of the science of algorithm. So it's algorithm which tells the OTT channels which series to watch and renew or whatever. But eventually we binge on a particular series or a particular drama till 2 a.m. because that particular story resonates with us. So I think the time that we are living through is a brilliant time of opportunity where we combine our art of communication with the science of algorithm and use the tools of AI and data analytics and everything, and I'll put it in inverted comma, intelligently. Uh, uh, Instead of running after noise, we should try to find meaning in those noise. Instead of running after trends, I think as communicators, we need to do a bit of research and find out what's driving those trends. What are the human stories? What is the purpose? Why these are trends? And we don't necessarily have to be part of every trend, right? We need to pick and choose the battles that you want to fight. And if you look at brands all over the world today, youngsters particularly, and the world is a very young population, definitely India, they expect brands sometimes to take stand on social issues, etc. One needs to be careful. You don't necessarily have to take stands on everything that's happening around the world. What resonates with your brand identity, your brand characteristics, uh, and then employ your own lived experiences, which is what I mentioned at the beginning, through your human connect, to bring in those winning stories to connect with your TG.
Wonderful. Thank you. Because that's an absolutely interesting position that you've taken, that, brands don't necessarily have to take a stance. And I'm really wondering, how does you all work with big multinational brands? And how does this work when you're in different markets where different things are issues? And you're not taking a stance, does that really work with your Gen Z consumers?
I think as 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 technology sets in, as artificial intelligence sets in, as attention spans go down, as our engagement goes down, there is a humanity that will come out, and that humanity will demand honesty and transparency, right? And there is no way you can do one thing in one corner of the country and say something else in another corner of the country, because that's going to get caught out in nanoseconds now, right? It doesn't take, earlier it used to take years. Some investigative journalist has to go to that area, dig out the thing, come out, make a story. The story may or may not get published. Now that is not true. In fact, there are people in government offices in Kerala, where I just was there last week. They are afraid of people coming with a complaint because that guy comes with a smartphone with a camera on. So they cannot refuse a service that they have to provide. And they have to tell them how much time will it take to,
So better accountability.
and it goes on to WhatsApp, Facebook in the next minute. So the idea that you are asking about, should brands take a stand or not? You'll be forced to take a stand, and ambivalence is only going to hurt in the long run. Maybe it is expedient today. Maybe it is kind of, you can say some things and still get away with it today. But increasingly, your actions have to mirror your words, and the two have to be perfectly in sync. And you need to be courageous enough to come out and say what you are doing. And I'm getting a bit philosophical now, but the idea of a conscious capitalism is on the rise, and there is no way you can stop it. Because, as you said, young consumers, tomorrow's consumers who have bred on mistrust and cynicism and, a distrust of institutions, all that because of social media, digital media, artificial, call it what, technology in various forms. They will increasingly demand. So at least I believe your actions and your beliefs and your saying needs to be in one single line.
As practitioner, when we do a lot of communication campaigns, and also an educator, there are really challenges that we face moving forward. For instance, machines dominate conversations now, right? Anything and everything that we see now is filtered through. In the academy, we call it mediated reality, right? In your theories, you will need it. But now, today, it's algorithms that actually filter all of that one. That's one challenge. Second is that trust erosion in institutions are there. I mean, the erosion of trust in institutions are there. That's why when you're doing a campaign or you're preparing your students to be able to go and face reality, you need to be able to tell them that not all institutions are being trusted now. Third is that there's certainly skills gap between practitioners and the academe as well. For instance, when was the last time we've been able to audit algorithm? Because we are trained to be able to develop messages. We're trained to be able to identify platforms. But when we push them, when was the last time we tested A/B testing of messaging? When was the last time we tested that this particular message actually will resonate to your stakeholders or consumers if it's coursed through TikTok? If it's coursed through Facebook, when was the last time we did that one? That's why there's a lot of rethinking on the way we will do campaigns and we will teach. There's a lot of skills gap that we need to be able to address. When was the last time we've done digital ethnography? Because we know ethnography the way academe will teach ethnography. But when was the last time we stayed many, many hours observing how people behave in closed Facebook groups, right? Because that's where all the action happens. It's not anymore mass media, right? We're looking at closed groups. We're looking at small groups in online. When was the last time we did that one? When was the last time also we did a little bit of semiotic analysis? Because at the end of the day, signs and symbols matter, especially when we're doing. And that's why all of this, and then this is also a challenge for everybody else here, as like academics, to be able to prepare ourselves and also our students to be able to adapt to the new thinking that machines are dominating. We've lost already the control of our messages and meaning making, right? Because it's now the machines that are dictating that one. So we are not rebelling against it, but we're dancing with it, right? So that's how we're going to do about it, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm really glad. I think that most of we'll go back to the YouTube recording and we will watch this section again. And in the next AMIC, there's going to be a ton of papers on all the topics that you talked about. So one of the things that we heard in the opening was, there was a statement from the UNESCO spokesperson, and he pointed out that of the two sort of big threats that face the world today, disinformation was ranked first and climate change was ranked second. How do we make sense of a world that we have created like this? I mean, climate change, you can understand that there are, various things that you need to do. But disinformation is here and now, and so what do we do as consumers? What do we do as communicators to build those new muscles to deal disinformation? How do we is this something that has to, are the tech companies doing enough? Are, consumers, is that something they can?
I think he put it very well. We are dancing with the machine now, right? We just need to get our dance better. For example, I'll give you a small example. I consciously create a prompt and an anti-prompt on ChatGPT on every query I make, so that I get the view and the counter view, right? And then I have to make up my mind, right? Now, that's where my own biases come into play, which is where I said, I will only see what I already believe, right? But I at least know what is the other point of view. And that, like, at one point of time, we were Google searching and just clicking the first 5 links and believing whatever those first 5 links told us. Increasingly, we will have the ability and the tools and the technology to be able to navigate the disinformation, as you call it. And that's an optimistic view of the future. The pessimistic view is we don't really care as humanity, as long as our selfish motives are met, as long as it's entertaining. Like I told you, Jaya Bachchan and Rekha fighting over Amitabh Bachchan. It's a piece of silly content, but it's got more views than anything in the last 2 days. And we are going to become dumbest as we go forward. That's the pessimistic view.
So it's really like artificial intelligence versus human stupidity.
Yes. Or human intelligence, as I think Bhartendu said, that, ultimately the grittiness of humanity, the imperfection of humanity, traveling by a second-class sleeper coach, having a cutting chai with real people. Someone before we said, we are here with real people, right? This will start mattering more because you're hearing it direct. You're not hearing it intermediated by some machine. And these kind of forums, hopefully, will increase in power, increase in scope, increase in size. So as I said, there is an optimistic view and there is a pessimistic view. You can choose to live out your scenario, but what do you as an individual do? And each one of us in the room are going to make those choices for ourselves. Are you going to believe the disinformation? Are you going to look for the counter information and make up your own view? Hopefully, there are still some trusted institutions, some trusted journalists, who go and find the real story. Hopefully, they'll become iconic.
The new Google is ChatGPT, right? And do you know Perplexity? And do you know where they get their content? It's trained. The content that is being used, it comes from Reddit. So, if you're a very nasty practitioner, you reinvent you concoct stories. It used to be Wikipedia, right? Now it's Reddit. So which means we train our students, our colleagues to be able to verify sources of information, right? I mean, I'm coming in, where are the sources coming from? Who are the ones that are talking? If it's coming in from ChatGPT, remember, these are trained content, not necessarily true, right? That's why there's a lot of ghost content there. So that's why it's up to us to be able to develop critical thinking even at an early stage. Even among practitioners, sometimes we kind of like depend on what's being spewed out by the machines, but sometimes you have to test. Even if it's already coming in from a legitimate source, we test. We are all researchers, right? We can do a lot of testing and pre-testing of not just images, but also content. And that's where, you know, truth happens. And that's how we become more responsible, in fact, ethical in the way that we do things. After all, ethics comes from humans, but not from machines, right? Right.
Wonderful. So, sorry, yes, please, absolutely.
Take half a second to add to it. The thought came to mind, so
Yeah, please.
so the thought came to mind. So I thought before I forget, just to add to what Ron said, and you also mentioned you seem to agree with that. And my 2 cents to it that when you say dancing with the machines, maybe we can say the communicators, because that's what you had asked me for communicators of the future. They have to speak two languages. One is human emotion and algorithm logic. Probably that manifests the way you said dancing with the machines. If we combine the two, because increasingly as we go forward and communicators of future, they will grapple with managing reputation. Whether they work for an organization, large, small, MSME, or any other entity. I think as technology progresses, and we just talked about fake news, disinformation, and all that, and fortunately, I come from a generation even when there was no mobile phone, or rather, it was there, massively prohibitively expensive to use. So forget about WhatsApp, social media, and all that. So some of the very toughest crises that one had to manage today, in hindsight, I'm grateful there was no social media. I don't know how I would have managed those situations. But our next generation of, and some of them are already struggling, already grappling with it. And so when they go forward, I think they will have to just keep a couple of things in mind. And I don't know, when the situation hits you, how you react. Easier said than done, but still one thing to bear in mind will be that hashtags, trends, your all this stuff come and go. Trust is something, never ever compromise on that. It takes years to build trust among your stakeholder groups, whether it's media, whether it's non-profit, whether it's your partners, uh, your entire ecosystem. What I mean is that it takes years to build that. So don't be trigger happy just because there is a fake news, as you gave a very good example of recent example. If there is something fake going around in the social media, you don't have to be trigger happy to address it then and there. For all you know, you may be fueling it. So why do that? Take a pause. That's what I said. Get off the screen, take a pause, stop scrolling. Because trust is something which uh, uh, it's eternal. That's non-negotiable. You lose trust, everything's gone. So trust is something which helps you build your reputation. I thought I'll just make that point.
Wonderful. So it's almost as if the machines are forcing us to become more human, to sort of, examine all those things where we are different from each other, and where, we think to dance on those edges of consciousness, and I was wondering if there was anything you wanted to add to that.
Calculators made mathematics kind of become a hobby, right? Email has made the Department of Posts irrelevant. They have now become a financial provider of insurance and bank. Phones have made cameras a luxury. So these things, every next wave of technology forces us to deal with it and become better ourselves. And artificial intelligence is no different. We will become better. We will learn to dance with it. We will learn to kind of marry the emotion and the machine. It's just that we have to be conscious about it. My worry is we are taken by the hype and we are just unconsciously kind of swaying along, and we are not giving in to our own instinct of, survival. What is true? What is trusted? What can be believed? What is the counter view? So that's really where I thought I just found that in my research key. Every next wave of technology, when it settles, we learn to live with it and we learn to kind of use it to our advantage.
In the spirit of dancing. Correct. Let me just clarify that machines may dictate algorithms, but they cannot dictate meaning. Because ultimately, meaning making rests on us. Who decide what matters is us, right?
Nice.
Machines may amplify messages, but they cannot embody values. Values come from us, humans, right? That's our inherent what's this weapon. And machines may shape behavior, but they cannot build trust. So ultimately, when we say we need to be able to understand how machine works, but we also be able to kind of like stand our ground and say humans actually are the ones that will provide you trust, values, and integrity as well, right? So this is what we call the dance. Ultimately, as future communicators, I think we should all be part ethnographer. We should all be part data scientist, be able to understand data. And ultimately, we should be able to be part ethicist as well. These three skills, I think we should all embody ourselves so that we'll be able to dance with all of these
Wonderful.
algorithms.
I thought that was an absolutely wonderful summarization of everything that we've been saying. Can we turn to the audience for some questions? Would you like to jump in and ask our panelists for some clarifications, some examples, some stories from the field? Okay, so while you are thinking of all those, I just wanted to know, about this idea of moral dilemmas, right? We run into them in like practically every sort of field. So when you are a user of, say, ChatGPT or Perplexity, anywhere you are, what are the sort of moral dilemmas that you really face at that point?
As a practitioner, we're always faced with all these dilemmas, right? Because we are exposed to all types of data. I basically know every single thing that happens to your brain as a result of your behavior online, right? So I can use those data to be able to dictate the kind of information I will feed you. So if I'm doing political campaigns and I know that you gravitate towards negative messages, I will just feed you that. So if, for instance, you are a consumer and you gravitate towards music, I will feed into that one. Music that may harm your values, your lifestyle. I can use that, right? So that's a dilemma. That's a dilemma. If I'm just gonna be dictated by the business goal of my client, then I will say, I will certainly do that one because at the end of the day, it will be sales, right? But we have a choice. We can balance the business interest as well and explain to our clients that, hey, if we use that data to be able to target that particular individual to be able to buy something, then we are contributing to the ruining of those groups of people. But we can also use that data to be able to not harm people. So that's a dilemma. There's also a dilemma of whether to actually do a campaign or not, because as ethical principles would have you, it's not a question of can we, but shall we. It's never, it's a distinction that we must all, because we can always do things, but should we always do things? That's always a dilemma that even educators face these days.
Any questions from the, yes? Is someone bringing a mic up?
I could not resist my temptation in the floating keywords and, search words. Good afternoon, respected members and audience. I am Dr. Arindam Gupta. I represent the Assam Tribune, the premier news daily and the oldest in the Northeast, and one of the oldest in the country. It's been wonderful listening to the very thrilling experiences of how we are exposed to the changing patterns of communication. I have a simple query. As a student of communication, we have all learned that medium is the message. My question is AI blurring the lines and becoming the medium itself? Thank you.
In a very black and white world, yes. So, and in fact, that if you have not used Perplexity now, please do, because that's blurred it even further, right? The idea that it will give you information at a first level, which is unfiltered, and then give you prompts on the next question to ask, which comes from content providers, which have been mediated and curated to appeal to your sensibilities. So now it really comes down to what questions are you going to ask, right? And then so I think both of them said trust is important. I just feel there's going to be no trust. And I may be a cynic. Many of my friends call me a cynic. Trust is already lost in my worldview.
So then how do we, because we understand this, for economies to function, for communities to function, for the world to function, you need that certain amount of trust.
You trust what you already believe. I can give you example. Recently, I went to an Ayurvedic retreat, right? People who trust allopathy and people who trust Ayurveda, and they are both very strident about their own beliefs. Delhi and Bombay, that we were talking about just before this session started. Delhiites believe Delhi is God's gift to humanity. Mumbaikars believe Delhi is shit, right? So who goes to stay in Delhi?
No, we don't believe anything about Delhi. We believe that Mumbai is God's gift to humanity.
So, now, this polarized view is only going to increase because if we just put this query, is Mumbai better than Delhi? You'll get 10 reasons why, right? But if you don't put the query, is Delhi better than Mumbai, in that same platform, you will never get to know what is and hence, you as in all of us have to train our muscles to ask intelligent questions and counter questions. Till now, we only asked intelligent questions, and we assumed that whether it be a publication, a newspaper, a brand, whatever they told us, we took it in good faith. I don't think we can take it in good faith anymore. Just the way we check when we take Uber, we also check the price on Ola. Why do we do that? Because I want to have both views on how much does it cost to get from here to my destination.
Itself. You can take the math curriculum changes. You can really do, which is why, especially when you have supercomputers, you can really take math in different
But this is a slightly more dangerous thing. If you ask a calculator 8 plus 4 and it shows you 13, would you believe it? And in a world where we are now trained on calculators from class 1, I will not know that 8 plus 4 is 12. It's a ridiculous example, but I hope that day never arrives. But right
now it's telling you perhaps hallucinate, but aren't hallucinations supposed to get less and less and less?
Such groups of people manipulate the content that goes into the machine, you will get to see what they want you to see.
So if you consider AI as a message, then hallucination is also a message, right? Which means what we're saying here is that, I mean, we're going back to the Makluhan medium as a message, right? I'm sure academics will understand all of these things. But really, the way I see AI, it's really just augmented intelligence, not the end all and be all of intelligence, right? You use that one to be able to enable you. So it's not necessarily the message, but you can manage the message or you can massage the message, right? So that's how I think we should be able to use AI. It's a tool that you can manage and you can massage to be able to suit, because ultimately at the end of the day, it will be us who will decide to move forward, right? We're being augmented by that intelligence, but that intelligence comes from us, right? It's still human intelligence just being trained by the machine. All right.
No, just to add to the analogy of the calculator, giving you 4 plus 4 is 8. I thought I'll just add to that. So that's why somewhere during our conversation, I mentioned that communication has always been an art, because in communication, 4 plus 4 could be 100, could be 0. It's not mathematics, it's not calculator. There is no foolproof solution to everything, anything for that matter. Which is why I made that point of reading, traveling, being on the ground, and keep learning till the very end. Because something which worked during my time definitely is outdated today. It don't work, which is why I mentioned that some of us from my generation, we are absolutely lucky not to have social media in those days. I'm talking about late 90s, turn of the century, the first decade, if you take it. So, yeah, turn of the century from the previous one. So, yeah. So I'll just quickly continue. So, which is why it's that. And just to add to your view, it's good to have those multipolarity of views and beliefs. It has always been there. Today, thanks to technology, thanks to social media, it's only getting amplified. But those multipolarity of views had always been there in this world, as I mentioned somewhere, that however today, because we are faced with so much of noise and all that, it does seem to me that we are at a time of highest per capita opinion. But yeah, it does seem, but not to say opinions were not there before, right or wrong, I'm not judging about it. I think in the middle of that, the challenge for communicators is to find your narrative. Tell your story. Don't run after trends. Don't run after hashtags. Run after meaning. Find a purpose. Automatically, it will get its own hashtags or trend or.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Just wanted to, it's Ron. You just said we should both learn to manage and massage. What if you can't? And manage. I just, yeah, hypothetically, AI could lead to a point where you say something or ask something and AI will say, sorry, I'm not giving you the answer, or you can go to hell. Are we in any way leading in that direction? Because if you do, then there is no massage and no management of anything.
Any discussion of massaging and what do you call that? Massaging and managing requires also participation from the tech companies, correct? Unfortunately, this is how they make profit. But as a researcher, we can test the machine. We can populate the machine. For instance, when we do A/B testing of messaging, you can get all of these messages and train the machine by saying, if I have this machine, X, Y, and Z, and test the machine whether that machine will expose that messages to a certain group of people, then that machine will be able to learn. And that's how you're able to massage and manage the machine. Not necessarily all the time that machine will tell you it's not or no, but if you keep on feeding the machine that material and telling them XY messages will be exposed to XY group of people, and then the machine will now calculate and say, I will now expose this messages to this particular group of people. And then that's how communicators now will say, those are the kinds of people, the kind of messages or campaign that we will do. I'll give you an example. For instance, political campaigns, right? In the Philippines, for instance, there has to be long form campaigns and videos and whatnot, right? But during the last election, we tested and we've asked the machine, where will long form be shown? And will that even be shown to people? And then we tested whether short form videos via TikToks will be shown or not. And the machine spewed out, long form will not be shown, TikTok videos will be shown. So the next campaign that we went ahead and rolled out are mostly all TikTok videos, right? So you can test that one, but ethics comes along because now you're going to test whether your content actually is ethical or not, whether that content will resonate. Yes, it will resonate, but will resonate in terms of values, in terms of how it will impact the voters as well. Again, what I'm just saying is that since all of us are researchers, since all of us are part academician and are part practitioners, we can manage that platform. You can test Facebook. And by the way, if there's a possibility for you to get the API from TikToks, you can scrape that data from TikTok, from YouTube, and get them. Sometimes they offer. You'll be able to understand how the machines work.
So like you said, part data scientist. But I think Professor Patanaik was actually talking about the power balance, right? He's talking about, what political economy scholars like me love, which is just this hugely unequal power balance that we're looking at. And so then one of the things is what, Mr. Subramanian has been saying is, you become that you train, you build new muscles, you understand, and this is what the machine can do. And you've suggested this, you said dance with the machine, that the machine is going to have some moves, but you have to kind of, so is that the only solution that we have to sort of up our game to deal with that power balance that he's talking about?
Also, can I just add to that, which is that you also mentioned that, the meaning is mine. Okay, that I have control over the meaning, but that's not necessarily true. And in fact, if you go back into how semiotics has looked at meaning in the early stages, meaning has never been in my control. Meaning has always, yes, always been. So therefore, today AI or the machine can manipulate meaning, and it does, as you have just mentioned. So therefore, the meaning is not mine. The meaning. So where do we stand when the meaning is not mine?
Give you much more lower examples. At home, we've created 2 Netflix profiles. Okay, on one profile, we only have thrillers, crime, detection, that kind of stuff. On the other one, I have documentaries, romance, whatever, right? And you can see the Netflix suggestion working, right? On how it goes. So you learn. And another one, what we did at home at least is, and the example is a bit more Indian. Because of my ChatGPT history and my wife's ChatGPT history, when both of us ask a question on the Bhagavad Gita, she will get a much more spiritual answer and I will get a much more logical answer. But we compare notes. What answer did you get and what answer did I get? Right. And so again, this needs time and this needs, but these are small experiments we are doing. The experimentation will also kind of manifold, right? And one of the notes I had written was the time is rife for an anti-GPT to create the counter GPT as a business model, actually. If GPT tells you this is the alternate reality, which will happen because there will be a market for that.
I was just coming to that. As long as there's enough takers for it, they'll
come back full circle. For every Coke, there will be a Pepsi and vice versa. So that will
Good
happen.
afternoon. I'm Sangeeta Agarwal from Kids School of Mass Communication, Bhubaneswar. So as sir, you were saying that for the Gen Z, we have to ask them to stay away from the screen and connect with the people. But with the set of algorithms into play in social media in today's world, and with the shorter span of attention of Gen Z, how can you actually make them do that? Because AI, they resonate with AI, they understand, they get quicker results. So it's very difficult to be done than said. So how can we actually do as media educators, media practitioners? It's a very tough task because in Reels also I have seen the class 2 student asking Alexa, what is 2 into 5 or 7? So they use AI in such a great extent, to such a great extent, it's very difficult to keep away from that. So how do we do that in actual world?
No, I didn't mean discard it. I said reduce your dependence on the screen, take a pause, move away from the screen for some time, allot yourself some time to live your life off screen. That's all I meant. It's inevitable, right? We can't ignore technology. We can't ignore the time that we are living through. We can't ignore. I mean, if I had my way, I would be farming somewhere without a phone. But let me just complete. But I mean, I don't want to use that word necessary evils, but technology has also brought about humongous improvement in human lives. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, uh, which is why I made a few points that instead of chasing hashtags, instead of chasing trends, can we look for purpose? Can we look for, I'll give you one example. Today, increasingly, some of the progressive organizations are having dedicated resources called Chief Geopolitics Officer, considering the challenges that's coming in multinational companies which are operating across continents. In some small development in some part of the world may impact, and I'm not talking about profitability, it may impact your own people working there on ground. How do you ensure their welfare, etc.? So I'm saying, if you are over dependent on social media, on what chat GPTs or other forms of social media are telling you, it may not equip yourself to be future ready. And I think, Professor, that was your first question. If I pick that word, for future ready comms professionals, cutting edge comms professionals, that's all I meant. I mean, you have to find your own balance, like all of us have to.
I get you, but sir, my question is, as we, like you said, by the turn of century, we also grew up where there was no social media. But today's child, they are born with smartphones. So they don't know what is a life without social media or without AI.
I am totally with you, because when I told my son that after 4 o'clock, we were allowed 1 hour of playground time, get back home and study before dark and all that, he looked at me as if I'm from Jurassic Park. I mean, there was no television, there was no mobile phone, there was, how did you live those days? So I am with you on that.
And sorry, we'll let you have the last word before we wind up.
What I'm saying is, you have to learn in dealing with such Gen Z audiences, you have to learn it yourself. Number one, like I am now learning how to navigate Instagram for myself, right? Play with Instagram myself so that I can tell them about the view that you want to disseminate through that platform. Otherwise, we are failing as educators at some level if we do not show them the view that they should be seeing. Consciousness, ultimately, it all comes down to, are you consciously and responsibly using the platforms that are available to you? And as children, as adolescents, we will always rebel. We will always do more of one and less of the other. And over time, when you get to my age, for sure, you mature and you start seeing. So we just have to believe in humanity.
Wonderful. What an absolutely amic way to end a plenary. We have to believe in humanity. Delightful. We could go on with this conversation because we have delightful panelists. We have such an engaged audience, but unfortunately the clock is against us. And so we will thank our panelists for just being wonderful and for sharing all their insights. They've been kind and generous with their time. And we have certificates of appreciation for them. You'll be handling this section. Yeah, okay. So
Get it on Instagram. We also call on scale to it. Where's the
Miss
Miss Mali
Nali Hazard.
is to sit on the dais, right? And the awarding only. Oh, just part of the whole. Do I? Ah.
Hello, everyone, once again. We are indeed fortunate to have amongst us the Honorable Vice Chancellor of SNDT Women's University, Professor Ujjwala Chakradev. Please give her a big round of applause. Madam needs, for all of us here at SNDT Women's University, Madam is a source of great inspiration and motivation always. But I will attempt to introduce Madam briefly for the benefit of all the participants and experts from abroad. Professor Ujjwala Chakradev is an architect and urban planner, having completed her MTech and PhD from VNIT Nagpur. She has close to 4 decades of experience in teaching architecture and has keen interest in architectural education and design processes. She is fellow of Indian Institution of Architects and has held key positions with number of universities and professional bodies. In 2024, Madam was awarded the Most Influential Woman in Education Award from the business world. Madam also is an honorary colonel with the NCC, that is the National Cadet Corps. And Madam has won the Stree Shakti Sanman, that is Women's Empowerment Prize from the Maharashtra State Hind Sahitya Academy. Madam has many books and books chapters to her credit, including the book Temples of Bharat, A Journey Through Time, Art, Architecture and Culture. Madam has served on many committees at the state as well as national level. Under her leadership, SNDT Women's University initiated a new campus at Chandrapur, Maharashtra. And SNDT Women's University has been the proud recipient of the Meru status, which has been given to only a few universities across India. So, and also SNDT Women's University recently was re-accredited with the A+ grade by NAC. Yeah. Madam, please address the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. When you are a leader and at the apex of the of such a beautiful institution, legendary institution, these things which has been which automatically happen to the institution, credit goes to the leader. So that's why many things which were mentioned, many of these things would happen to SNDT women's universities, irrespective of who is at the helm of the affairs, is what my contention is. I, on behalf of SNDT Women's University, welcome all the delegates, participants to this international conference, Amic, for which the entire team of SNDT as well as the team of Amic has been working for almost a year. So a great and warm welcome. We are the first and the oldest women's universities, not only in India, but in Southern Asia. And being a women's university, you know, welcoming and the warmth all comes with it. On the dais, we have the president, the recipient of the award, madam here. I am purposely not mentioning the names because I may mispronounce those names, though I had a very great interaction with Sir back in my cabin few minutes ago, as well as Dr. Meera Desai, who has been working hard to make today's day a great, grand success. The topic and the discussions, I asked someone what's going on as a discussion today since morning. The media, the publicity, and the things which, and the communications probably are not very far away from me, but have been closely associated with me after I became a vice chancellor. Prior to that, I was miles away from the media. However, communication can never be not a part of your life. So it's been there. But I was thinking what I would be talking to you all. And today, I just sitting back in my cabin and waiting for me to be called over here, I thought, I looked at Chat GPT and asked the question, as now many of us normally do, is technology a boon or a bane? How many were the revolutions till now when the technology took over and we as human beings responded? So Chat GPT humbly gave me an answer and a chronology which date back to 10,000 BC, where agriculture was the revolution. And then technology, with that technology, man changed. A wheel was invented prior to that sometimes. Then after that came the technology of industrial revolution. Much later, many things happened in between, of course, 18th and 19th century. And we all know what happened after industrial revolution and what we did. Then is the electricity revolution, ChatGPT says, late 19th century and early 20th century. And then transportation revolution, again in the same period. Communication revolution, which he says is in 19th and 20th century, which with telegraph, telephone, radio, television. And the social impact was rapid spread of information and ideas, political awareness, mobilization, creation of mass media, and influence on public opinion. Then came digital revolution in 1970s, then internet and social media revolution, 2000, and then now AI and automation revolution. We are going through many changes. When I was in the college studying, at that time I had read Alvin Toffler's Future Shock. And I was impressed by that book, and I kept on reading again and again. A chapter on education I still remember, which talked about the small modules of education, saying that we ask a child to go to the school for 8 hours and he is interested only for 1 hour, and rest of the 7 hours he is just sitting there being bored, and we are imbibing something which he doesn't want to receive. Now, in India, in 2020, we have a national education policy which talks about these modules. I don't know how many years after Alvin Toffler talked about it, because it was published in 1970s. The book was published at that time. Alvin Toffler also talks about and says that mankind has been at a particular state of intelligence and technology for centuries together, irrespective of the revolutions, which I said 10,000 BC, and then I talked about 18th and 19th century of industrial revolution. But beyond that, in 100 years, the pace of change has been radically or accelerated that we just don't know what to do. The day I became Vice Chancellor, many people started coming and meeting me and greeting me. A previous Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rupa Shah, came to me, and she is now the head of, she was at that moment when she came, the head of a society of psychology, International Society for Psychologists. Similar of yours kind, similar of what Indian Institute of Architects is, that of the various professions. And she asked me to chair this session. Again, I was in the same perplex as myself, knowing nothing about psychology. What would I be talking to the international body and saying about it? Alvin Toffler came to my rescue again. And in that, he had mentioned, when you are moving with a fast pace in a tunnel, your body is moving, your thoughts are moving, but your body is not moving. What would happen? Because when we are moving ahead, the pace of change has to match with the pace of things which are going on in our mind and the body itself, for which it has been made. So we are made up of our thoughts and body and the matter for certain pace. But suddenly mankind has been presented to such a vast change. So what do we do for that? We would obviously stumble down and have lots of accidents in that, because we are not able to keep the balance. I remember those days. Then I mentioned that psychologists have to help in there. But I remember those days when in 2000, 2K thing, and suddenly everybody was talking about this revolution, saying that now tomorrow all computers will stop working and the world will come to standstill and so on and so forth. Nothing happened. Same thing we are talking about AI. I'm wondering, with AI, what will happen to the education sector, because that's the field where I am concerned about. What are we going to do? I found out my solution just now sitting here. How can I stop, and why should I stop my students getting the information and structuring their answers where someone else is helping? What would be the benefits and what would be the drawbacks? What are we losing when we are gaining something? That's something which we need to understand and look at, especially in the education sector. Education is a tool for the social change. That is what I've learned all these years. We can impact the society through education. British came to India and then they knew the education is a tool for social change, and they implemented a different kind of education system on India, and then we started differently. We started disbelieving our culture. We started under feeling that English is the only language which means where advancement happens. We also started comparing the westernization with the modernization, and that's how education impacted entire India, and not only in India, the entire Asia, I would say, where we all are from. And in that case, when education now, after so many years in India, we have thought of changing and going back to our roots, where we can't obviously go back to taking the stock of where we are, what we are doing right now, and then thinking and reviving our culture. Why are we doing it? Why are our cultures so important? What is so common between we Asians? Why do we think about our families? What's happened to the rest of the world? What are the accidents which the entire world, mankind has gone through with these revolutions? Are the things which I think you all are talking about. I'm aware you all are talking about what would happen to the media sector. You would be worried about that the information and passing of the information happens so fast. Long ago, maybe 20 years ago, I went to Ahmedabad, where the design studio, and a student of that school of design there had designed a ring for a thumb which had a chip, and as soon as you make a handshake with someone, the information from that chip would be transferred to the next person. And we were carried away by that technology at that time. Now I am interested in Indian knowledge systems. Being a follower, and now because I have to implement national education policy at our institutions, one of the verticals is the Indian knowledge system that we have to look into. And in the Indian knowledge system, what I realized, the information, even without these rings, can be was being transferred. There was an information about almost everything. Temple architecture being my subject of interest, I have seen the pictures of the 9 months of the pregnant woman and the fetus being grown on the walls of the temples, which were what happens to the fetus, and how does a woman get conceived. It gives us a point that we need to think about our culture, our past, our people, and technology is something which cannot probably take away all these things. Technology, I was told by my teacher, does not have a root, whereas culture has a roots. It stands straight and it will stand for longer. So technology cannot do anything to us. It will come as a wave, but our roots being very strong, probably we will survive, come through it, and we will change ourselves. We will mold ourselves, and we will go on doing good works, values, cultures, thought processes, and the education would evolve out of it, is what my strong belief is. And I think whatever discussions you would be having, even about media, about the things which are happening, these are short pointers, but technology will come to your thought rescue and will help you to do good works. It has got both the things. Yeah, a knife can cut the apple, but knife can create a murder also. It's so how to use this technology will depend upon who you are, what your values are, what you think, what you believe in, and what you have been brought up as, what your surrounding is. And education can bring that thought process within human beings. I strongly believe in that. And I know as media persons and for this field also, you would also think in the similar manner. And that's all I think I can add, but we can have question answers there. Best wishes for this entire conference, and you all will enjoy your stay here in Mumbai at SNDT. We are warm people, and you will take care of you all as much as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for such a beautiful message that you shared with all of us. We now move on to the next segment of the conference, which is the conferment of the 2005 Amic Asia Communication Awards, for which may I request Miss Mali Hazaz to join us on stage. Shall I announce the name of the winner? Yeah. Yeah, the award goes to Dr. Karliga Masieva. Dr. Karliga Masieva is from the Al Farabi Kazakh National University. Citation. Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Karliga Misayeva is a leading media scholar in Central Asia. She's with the Al Farabi Kazakh National University in Almaty, Kazakhstan. With over 20 years of teaching and research experience, she has emerged as a pioneering voice in the fields of journalism, media studies, and civic communication in post-Soviet Central Asia. Her academic career coincides with Central Asia's broader efforts to build democratic institutions and develop a pluralistic media landscape. Her numerous works have had a profound impact across Central Asia, shaping journalism education, influencing media policies, and supporting the growth of a more critically engaged media environment. A core theme in her research studies and teaching is the impact of social media on democratic engagement and civic identity in the five former Soviet republics of Central Asia. Dr. Karliga Misayeva is a creative, dedicated, forward-thinking scholar. In recognition of her outstanding leadership in media research, international collaboration, and journalism education, and her commitment to democratic ideals, she is hereby awarded the Amic Asia Communication Award for 2025. Congratulations.
I request ma'am to please address the acceptance speech, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Ramon. Good afternoon, dear distinguished guests, dear colleagues and friends. It is a great honor for me to receive this prestigious award in media, information, and mass communication in Asia. I am deeply proud to be the first laureate from Central Asia to receive this recognition. Central Asia, a region that is an integral part of Asia, rich in stories, voices, and creativity that deserve to be heard across the world. My big thanks go to Professor Maslow, the founder of this Amic, for his inspiring vision. Also to Secretary Ramon Tuason for the excellent organizations and support. And to my colleagues from Kazakhstan, especially Professor Barlybaeva, she's here, who represented Kazakh many years and inspired generations of media scholars. And also I would like to thank SNDP Women's University who hosting us today. This is not only my personal achievement, it is a shared success for all of us who believe in power of media and the communication to connect cultures, build understanding, and strengthen our shared Asian community. And I wish all of us continued inspiration, meaningful collaborations, and the new achievements that community in Asia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We will now have a photograph with the experts and the dignitaries. I request you to shift over here and then we'll click a photograph. So volunteers, can you please place the chairs in front? Here. Also here. Yeah, that's right. So we put the chairs now. Or follow the Ah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. Shall I ask everybody to stand? Yeah. Can you, all of you please stand for a while the photograph is clicked? We will, we will have a lunch break now, but before that, a few of you would like to click. Would you? Somebody was asking me from the Philippines team whether we could click a selfie. Please want to do that. And the announcement that I have to make, we will be having a tour of Mumbai on the 12th of October 2025. So in case you're in tour, you are required to go to the registration desk slot for yourself. Mumbai tour, 12th of October. All the participants who are interested, please go to the registration desk and book a slot for yourselves. The lunch break is for half an hour, post which we join for the second plenary session here itself. बोले थे हम सेल्फी लेंगे तो मैंने बोला कि प्रॉपर फॉर्मेट पहले बाद में चले गए